Hello and welcome to module number 3, the Scrum Team, from the PeopleCert Scrum Master I certification training from One World Training. You can expect about 4 questions from this module. We have seen earlier at the end of module number 2 that there are 3 core Scrum elements: the Scrum Team, the Scrum Events, and the Scrum Artifacts. The Scrum Team includes the product owner, Scrum Master, and the developers. Whereas the events, which is basically part of the sprint or iteration, include the sprint planning, daily scrum, sprint review, and retrospective, the 4 events. And there is optionally the product backlog refinement, which is not a formal event, but is used frequently. And then we have the artifacts, which are 3 in number: the product backlog, sprint backlog, and the usable increments. We first look at the Scrum Team, which is the developers, the product owner, and the Scrum Master. There are no sub-teams or other hierarchies. There are only 3 accountabilities. Typically, the terms Scrum Team will have 10 or less people. They are responsible all together as a team for all product-related activities, from stakeholder collaboration, verification, maintenance, operation, experimentation, and research and development. The entire team is accountable for creating a valuable, useful increment at every sprint. Note the use of the word accountable. Each of the members of the Scrum team, that is the developers, product owner, and Scrum Master, have accountabilities, which will be explained on later slides. But collectively, the team is accountable for achieving the goals of the sprints, that is for every sprint, and the overall product goal. The fundamental unit of Scrum is a small team of people, and that is called the Scrum team. As mentioned, typically less or fewer in total. Note that the product owner and the Scrum Master are individuals, whereas developers is a group of people. So it's always one product owner, one Scrum Master, and several developers. It is therefore a cohesive unit of professionals focused on one objective at a time, that is the product goal. The Scrum team is kept small enough in order to remain nimble and large enough to complete significant work within a sprint, typically therefore 10 or less people. In general, it has been found that smaller teams communicate better and are more productive. If Scrum teams becomes too large, they should consider reorganizing into multiple cohesive Scrum teams, each focused on the same product. Therefore, they should share the same product goal, same product backlog, and product owner. The Scrum team is responsible for all product-related activities mentioned here, such as stakeholder collaboration, verification, maintenance, operation, experimentation, research and development, and anything else that might be required. They are structured and empowered by the organization where they work in order to manage their own work, which means they are self-managing. Working in sprints or short iterations at a sustainable pace improves the Scrum team's focus and consistency. Sustainable means the pace should be sustained, meaning the team should be able to commit the work and able to finish off or deliver the committed work in each sprint. And they should be able to sustain it rather than taking up too much load and not able to deliver as committed. That would be unsustainable because they would have to put in extra hours if they are lagging behind. And that can lead to burnouts. Sustainability prevents burnouts. The entire Scrum team is accountable for creating a valuable, useful increment or a set of features delivered at the end of every sprint. Scrum therefore defines the 3 specific accountabilities. What we have just noted here, namely again the developers, the product owner, and the Scrum Master. Note that in the older Scrum guide prior to November 2020, the developers was known as the development team. But now it's been made developers to reinforce the idea that there is a single team, but not a team within a team. Which means a development team within a Scrum team would look a little odd. Therefore, we have developers within the Scrum team. Product owner. The common question here is whether the role is from business or IT. The Scrum Guide does not offer any input for this. It is an internal decision, but the individual would need to have a good understanding of the product, the business, and the industry, and should be able to interact with different stakeholders appropriately. Scrum Master. People often want to know if the Scrum Master role is full-time. The answer is not necessarily. If Scrum is new in the organization, then initially it might be full-time. But once teams acclimate and become a highly performing team, they may need minimal coaching from a Scrum Master, but it takes time for a team to reach this level. In those cases, the Scrum Master can focus on broader organizational impacts and becoming a change agent throughout the organization. Reiterating why the team size should be less than 10. Because smaller teams communicate better and they are more productive. Larger teams require more coordination and they generate too much complexity for an empirical or an observation-based process to be useful. If Scrum teams becomes too large, they should consider reorganizing into multiple cohesive Scrum teams, each focused on the same product. Scrum teams are cross-functional and self-managing. Cross-functional teams have all the skills necessary to create value in each sprint. Self-managing teams internally decide who does what, when, and how. So Scrum teams are cross-functional, meaning team members have all the skills necessary to create value in each sprint by completing the chosen product backlog items and producing an increment that contributes to achieving the product goal. Self-managing means they internally decide who does what, when, and how without direction from others outside the team. They're structured and empowered by the organization to manage their own work. Note that the 2020 guide replaced the older term self-organizing with the new term self-managing. Self-organizing, as in the 2017 Scrum Guide, meant that the team decides how to accomplish their work. According to Dr. Sutherland, the term self-organizing had been misconstrued as the developers being able to do whatever they wanted without interference or guidance from others. Therefore, self-managing seems to be a better word, and the hope is that the use of this phrase will help to address that the developers do not have the complete freedom. They have to work within certain boundaries, such as strategy goals and project goals. Time for you again to make some notes or list down some questions for further research. Or if you have any queries, please do contact us at info@oneworldtraining.com. Let us take a look at what does self-managing teams really mean, the requirements for self-managing teams. We see the following here: trust and respect, self-driven people, honesty and humility, collaboration and teamwork, learning agility, ownership and commitment, leadership inside and outside. This is taken from article from Rachel Lynn, What is a Self-Organizing Team, from planview.com. Because self-management may be a new concept for many, it is important to understand some of the requirements for those participating as team members in a self-managed team. These basic requirements listed here will help to ensure the team's and the individual's success. Self-driven people means receiving a new assignment and completing it is one thing, but going out to find work and setting your own timeline is quite another. And the latter requires a high level of motivation, that is setting your own timeline and going to find out your own work. Self-managed teams, therefore, work with and for each other. Each member's success is everyone's success. Collaboration and teamwork. When a team doesn't have a manager pushing orders, it is up to the individual members to communicate with one another and work together. As a result, a self-managing team must embrace a highly collaborative style of working and operate as a true unit. While we have the topic of the article, self-organizing, it applies very well and completely to self-managing as well. Ownership and commitment. Team members must exhibit a strong sense of ownership over their success and a commitment to the team and its common goals and objectives. Trust and respect. Trust and respect are key ingredients for all teams, and self-managed teams are no exception. Team members need to trust in the skills of others and trust that everyone will get the job done as planned, and if there is no manager holding everyone accountable. Additionally, team members must respect the opinions of others and work together to find compromises to differing views. Trust is a starting point to allow for honesty and humility to exist. What is honesty and humility? Honesty doesn't equate to being rude, but to having hard conversations to help the team be better. Humility is of dire importance as well. Being able to admit failure, owning up to mistakes, or saying, I don't know, can anyone offer some guidance to me? Sounds easy, but it is not. To be humble. Learning agility. Individuals who like to learn new things and will seek to improve their local knowledge where it is lacking. Without a manager overseeing their personal development, team members must take it upon themselves to seek opportunities for growth and look for ways to improve what they are doing. Leadership inside and outside. Having self-managed teams doesn't replace the need for the team to have a proper leadership inside and outside the team. A team always needs guidance, coaching, mentoring, and ideas. Usually, a self-managed team will organically find a leader within it. This is great, but having others such as a Scrum Master and Product Owner available outside the team, meaning the development team, the developers that is also important.